Yes, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the online education for the English medium organized by the Education Department of Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai. So today, students, we are continuing today with the third session for standard 9. The subject is science, and we are studying the concept of study of sound. Okay, so today in the third session, we are going to study about the concept of sonar, sonography, and the concept of human ear. My name is Vishal Sudhir Chowdhury, and I am from the Kurar Village MPS English Secondary School. Okay, so let us first of all go through what all contents we are going to study in this chapter. So far we had seen about sound waves, then we have studied about velocity of sound. Within the sound waves, we have seen the two types of waves, that is a longitudinal wave and transverse wave. Then we have studied about velocity of sound, right? Then what are the factors that affect the velocity of sound in different mediums? Then we have seen the concept of reflection of sound. So in reflection of sound, we have studied about the concept of echo and reverberation, right? We have also studied about the various types of sounds, that is audible sound, infrasonic sound, and ultrasonic sound. Okay, so before we proceed further, let us briefly revise all the topics that we have seen, right? So these are all the topics that we have studied so far. So let us go through one by one. Okay, so first of all, let us see the definition of sound. So we had studied previously that sound is a form of energy which creates a sensation of hearing in our ears, right? And sound energy travels in the form of waves, and the medium is necessary for the propagation of waves, propagation of sound waves, right? So we are aware that sound waves require a medium, and sound can travel through solids, liquids, as well as gases. Okay, and sound travel the fastest through the gases, solids, and they go slowest through the gases. Okay, so sound wave gives rise to a chain of compressions and rarefaction. As you can see here, back forth, right? That means it oscillates, vibrates back and forth, and as you can see, the wave generated goes from left to right. So when the hello, Mayur sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, there was some network issue. I'll continue again.
Okay. Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. Yes, students. So we were talking about definition of sound. So sound is a form of energy which creates a sensation of hearing in our ears, right? So sound energy travels in the form of waves, and a medium is necessary for the propagation of sound waves, right? So sound waves can travel through solids, liquids, as well as gases, but sound waves cannot travel through a vacuum. Okay, so sound waves travel fastest in solids and the slowest in the gases. So sound waves gives rise to a chain of compressions and rarefactions in the medium. So if you can see in the animation below, the particle happens to move back and forth, that is from left to right. So when that particle oscillates, that is it vibrates, it transfers its energy to the adjacent particle, and the particles henceforth start moving, that is they also start vibrating. So you can see the wave starts to move from left to right in the form of alternate bands of compressions and rarefactions. Such a wave is called as a longitudinal wave, right? So in this kind of a wave, you can see the motion of the wave is from left to right, and the vibration of the particle is also back and forth motion is also left to right. So in this case, the wave motion and the vibration motion is parallel to each other. So such waves are called longitudinal waves, and sound waves are a type of longitudinal wave. Okay. Then we had studied the concept of velocity of sound. So we know that the distance covered by a point on a wave in unit time is a velocity of sound wave, right? So velocity will be equal to distance upon time. So any point on the sound wave covers a distance equal to wavelength lambda in time t, which is the time period. So velocity is given by v equals to nu into lambda, where nu is the frequency of the sound wave and lambda is the wavelength. Okay, so we know that 1 upon t is also the frequency. So on rearranging the equation, we get velocity equals to wavelength upon time period, means v equals to lambda upon t. Also, we had studied about variation in velocity of sound, right? So the variation with temperature is what? Velocity of sound is directly proportional to square root of the temperature. Then with density, it is velocity of sound is inversely proportional to square root of density. And with molecular weight, velocity of sound is inversely proportional to square root of molecular weight, right? Then in the previous class, we had studied the various types of sounds, right? So there are basically three main types of sounds, okay? And they are classified on the basis of the ability of humans to listen or hear to the sounds, right? So the first type of it is what? The audible sound, right? Audible sounds have a frequency range of 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. Now, what that means is if you have an object which is vibrating, right, at a speed in between, say, 20 times per second to about 20,000 times per second, the sounds generated by such vibrating objects can be heard and perceived by us humans. Okay, but if you have a sound of a lower frequency, that means if any object is vibrating at a frequency of less than 20 times per second, right? So that will be a frequency of less than 20 hertz. So that sound we humans cannot hear, which is called as infrasound, right? And if you have an object having a vibration frequency of more than 20,000 times per second, so in that case also the sound generated will not be audible. That means we will not be able to hear that sound. And such sound is called as ultrasound. Okay. Then we studied the concept of reflection of sound by an example. In this case, we had placed a hard plywood, right, and another soft wood piece as a partition. On one side of partition, we kept a stopwatch, right, and we placed two cardboard tubes at a certain angle, right. When you went onto the other side of the cardboard tube, you could very clearly listen to the sound of the watch, the stopwatch on the other side. What it means is that sound is also reflected, right? Just like light waves can be reflected, sound waves can also be reflected from a surface, right? So for sound waves to be reflected, we need a smooth and a hard surface, right? So we had studied what? There are two types of reflectors of sound, or good reflectors of sound, which are hard and smooth surfaces, and bad reflectors of sound, right? Which are very irregular surfaces, soft surfaces, or something like a curtain. Okay, then the very important concept of echo also we had learned, right? So an echo is a repetition of original sound because of reflection of some surface, right? So you can experience the phenomena of echo when you happen to visit a certain hill station or some other place, right? Then, so at 22 degrees Celsius, the sound of the velocity of sound in air is 344 meter per second. Our brain retains this sound for 0.1 seconds. That means whenever any sound waves enters into your ears, the signals created by the ears reach the brain, right? And they persist there. They stay there for a time interval of 0.1 seconds. That means the same sound cannot be heard at an interval of 0.1 seconds. So for us to hear the echo clearly, the sound, the reflected sound should reach the ears after an interval of 0.1 seconds, right? See what is written. Thus, for us to be able to hear a distinct echo, the sound should take more than 0.1 seconds after starting from the source to get reflected and come back to us. That means the total time taken for the sound to get reflected and come back should take more than 0.1 second, right? So let us see. We can determine the minimum distance between the source and the reflecting surface as follows. We know distance equal to speed into time, right? So speed of sound is 344 meters per second and the minimum time interval is 0.1 seconds. So thereby we can calculate the distance, the minimum distance, right, that the sound should travel, which is 34.4 meters, right? But it is a total to and fro motion. That means from the source to the reflecting surface and then again back to the source to perceive it as an echo, right? So that means what? The minimum distance between the source and the reflecting surface should be half of 34.4 meters, right? So thus, to be able to hear a distinct echo, the reflecting surface should be at a minimum distance of half of the above, that is 17.2 meters, right? So if you happen to be at a distance of 17.2 meters in front of a large wall, right? And if you shout or create a large bang noise, then you can hear an echo sound exactly after 0.1 seconds, right? If you start moving farther away than 17.2 meters, then what will happen? The time interval between the initial original sound and the echo sound will go on increasing. Okay. So the other concept that we had studied relating to reflection of sound was reverberation, right? So reverberation, we do not want reverberation to occur. It is an undesirable thing. Okay. See, sound waves get reflected from the walls and roof of a room multiple times. Repeated reflections of sound waves from the walls combine to build up in what seems like a continuous sound. So if you look at that diagram here, from the stage, when the speaker is speaking, the sound will reach directly to the listener. But sound, as you know, it travels in all possible directions from the source of the sound. So the sound will also get reflected from the walls of the room as well as from the ceilings of the roof, and then we'll reach the listener at different time intervals because the reflected sound is traveling much other larger distances, right? So different distances traveled will take different amount of time, hence the sound reaching the listener will be in the form of a continuous sound, which is very disturbing. So to reduce the reverberation, what we need is bad absorbers of sound waves, right? That means, or bad reflectors of sound waves, that means surfaces which can absorb the sound waves, right, and reduce the reflection. Okay. Then now we will move on to today's concepts. Okay, so the important concept we are learning today is called as sonar, right? Now, sonar is a short form for sound navigation and ranging, right? Today, that is nowadays, with the advancement of all the technologies, almost all the ships that are going at the sea, even the ships and boats used by fishermen, have these sonar devices attached to them, right? What do they do? Now, it is used to determine the direction, distance, and speed of an underwater object with the help of ultrasonic sound waves. Okay, so how does it work exactly? So please have a look at the diagram. Okay, so now if you can look at the diagram, we have a ship, right, that is sailing, floating on the sea. Now, on the bottom side of the ship, there are two devices attached. One is a transmitter and other is a receiver. Okay, now that transmitter happens to transmit ultrasonic sound waves towards the bottom of the sea, right? Now what happens is these ultrasonic sound waves travel through the water, right, and strike the ocean floor and get reflected back. So when they get reflected back, they come upwards towards the ship back again, right, where they are captured by a receiver, right? Now the transmitter and the receiver, they are connected to a computer, to a device, to the main machine, right, where it does all the calculations and comes up with an image of the seafloor. Okay, so the device then tells about the depth of the ocean at that floor. It can also tell you about if there are any underwater objects, if there are any submarines, if there are any fish, right? So you can make use of this device to find out underwater objects, or also you can map the ocean floor. You can also find if there are any sunken ships there, right? So exactly how it works, we will see. Now, the transmitter produces and transmits ultrasonic sound waves. These waves travel through the water, strike underwater objects, and get reflected by them, right? So the reflected waves are received by the receiver on the ship, right? Okay, which are then used by the computer to calculate. Now, as you can see in the diagram here, look at that. The transmitter is sending ultrasonic sound waves towards the ocean floor, right? Those ultrasonic sound waves, they get reflected, as you can see in the image, in the animation there, they get reflected and then come back, which are received. So depending upon the time interval taken for the sound to come back and the velocity of the sound in water, right, we can, or the device can calculate the depth of the ocean floor or the depth of the sea, right? Then the receiver converts the ultrasonic sound into electrical signals which are properly interpreted, means they're properly used in a computer, and then the display, it is shown on that display. Okay, the time difference between the transmission and reception is noted. That means the total time taken between from transmission of the wave and between receiving of the wave back again is noted. The time and velocity of sound in water give the distance from the shape of the object which reflects the waves. Now, if you can look at the image here, you can see there is a fisherman boat. They are not that small, they are larger. It is just for reference here. So you can see the boat, it is sending the ultrasonic sound waves, right? Now you can, if you can see properly, the sound wave is also getting reflected from the fish as well as from the ocean floor, right? So the device happens to use the reflected sound waves to calculate the depth at which the fish is present and the overall depth of the ocean, right? So you can see sonar is used to determine the depth of the sea, to search for underwater hills, valleys, submarines, icebergs, sunken ships, etc. Right? So you can find out different features which are present inside the ocean. Okay. Then now the other application of reflection of sound or use of ultrasound, right, is in the medical field, right? Okay, which is called as sonography, right? So many of you must have used this or experienced the technique of sonography. Okay, sonography technology uses ultrasonic sound waves to generate images of internal organs of the human body, right? So whenever if you have any pain or if you have some swelling in the abdomen, then the doctor will advise you to have a ultrasonography test done. What it does, right, we will see. This is useful in finding out the cause of swelling, infections, or pain. Okay, the condition of the heart, the state of the heart after a heart attack, as well as the growth of a fetus inside the womb of a pregnant woman are studied using sonography. Right now, during the 9-month tenure of a pregnancy, these tests are done every 2 or 3 months to see if the fetus is growing properly or not within the womb of a pregnant woman. Okay, so the doctor can then tell accordingly, okay, about the growth of the fetus. Then this technique make use of a probe and a gel. Okay, now if you can look in the diagram here, you can look in diagram here, the examination procedure involves a probe, right, which is held by the technician, the sonography technician. Okay, now what he does, he or she, what she does is they apply a gel. Now they apply a gel on the sonography device, that is a probe, and also on the surface of the skin where the scan has to be done. Okay, then what happens is the ultrasonic sound waves from the device, they are transmitted inside the body, and they also get reflected from the different organs which are captured by the computer, and an image is generated, right? So the sonography technician is an expert in observing and analyzing these images, and from these images he or she can tell exactly what the problem is inside the body. Okay, so the gel is used to make proper contact between the skin and the probe so that the full capacity of the ultrasound can be utilized. Okay, then the gel is applied to the skin outside the internal organ to be studied. That means if you want to take a sonography of the stomach or of the abdomen or maybe of the kidney, then what happens is the gel is applied just above the kidney on the surface, on the skin, right, over the stomach. And then that probe is moved back and forth over the skin to generate that image. Okay, then high frequency ultrasound is transmitted inside the body with the help of the probe. So that probe, what it does is it sends high frequency ultrasonic sound waves, which as humans cannot hear. They are completely harmless. Okay, and there is no need of admission, means the patient is not required to be admitted in the hospital, right? A sonography procedure can be completed within a few minutes. Okay, and no other medicines are also required. So high frequency ultrasound is transmitted inside the body with the help of the probe. the sound reflected from the internal organ is again collected by the probe. That means the probe, which is this handheld device, you can see in the center, that probe, it acts as a transmitter as well as a receiver. So it transmits as well as receives. It does both the jobs. Okay. So the sound reflected from the internal organ is again collected by the probe and fed to a computer, which generates the images of the internal organs. Right. So you can see on the right hand side, the black and white picture is generated on the screen. Right. Okay. Which the technician observes and accordingly generates a report. Okay. As this method is painless, it is increasingly used in medical practice for correct diagnosis. Diagnosis means to find out exactly what problem is there, or if there is any fault, or if there is any other problem. Right. Okay. So I told it is a non-invasive, means there is no need of an operation. Right. There is no need of any medicine. There is no need for the patient to get admitted in the hospital. Right. And this process is completely pain-free. Okay. And it can be completed within 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. Then next is one of our sensory organs, that is the human ear. Right. So the human ear is an important organ of the human body. Right. So we can perceive the sound because of our ear. Okay. When sound waves fall on the eardrum, it vibrates. Right. So whenever any kind of sound waves reaches the eardrums also start vibrating with the same frequency of the sound. Those vibrations are converted into electrical signals which travel to the brain through the nerves. Means there is a certain auditory nerve which travels from the ears, right, up to the brain, which is called as an auditory nerve. You will see the structure of the human ear. Right. So now let us see here the structure of the human ear. Okay. As you can see in the diagram, the human ear is basically divided into three parts. Right. The first part is the outer ear. As the word says, outer ear means the outer part that we can see, the flap thing, the pinna, which we call. Okay. Then there is a part which is a middle ear, and the third part is the inner ear. Okay. As you can see here, the three parts are the outer pinna, the outer ear, which is the pinna. Right. Then the auditory canal. Right. That means the passageway through which the sound goes inside the ear. It is the auditory canal. And at the end of it is a tympanic cavity. Right. Now the middle ear comprises of a chain of three bones. Right. We will see how it works further. And the inner ear consists of a spiral structure which is called the cochlea, to which the auditory nerve is attached. Okay. Let us see now the individual part. The outer ear or pinna. The outer ear collects the sound waves and ear. Okay, so it's shape which helps to collect and pass sounds into the middle ear. Okay, so as you can see here, the pinna is the outer part of the ear. Okay, its only function is to collect sound waves coming from different directions and direct them into the ear canal. Okay, so what it does is it just reflects and collects the various sound waves coming from different directions and helps those sound waves to enter into the ear canal. Right. From there, these sound waves are transferred inside onto the eardrum. Okay, then let us see about the middle ear. Now, there is a thin membrane in the cavity of the middle ear called the eardrum. When a compression in the sound wave reaches the eardrum, the pressure outside increases. Now you should remember that sound waves travel in the form of longitudinal waves, right? Which are made up of compressions and rarefactions. So compressions are regions of high pressure and rarefactions are regions of low pressure. So when these compressions, which are high pressure regions, reaches the sound wave, reaches the eardrum, the pressure outside it increases because compression is a high pressure, right? So the compression will push the eardrum inwards, right? The opposite happens when a rarefaction reaches there. So after a compression, there will be a rarefaction. So compression pushes the eardrum inwards, rarefaction pulls it outside, pulls it outwards. So when successive vibrations are reaching the ear, that means when alternate compressions and rarefactions reach the eardrum, right? The eardrum starts vibrating according to the compressions and rarefaction at the same frequency. Okay, so the pressure outside decreases and the membrane gets pulled outwards, right? When you have a rarefaction. So thus, sound waves cause vibration of the membrane, right, which is the eardrum. Okay, so as you can see here, look at the diagram, look at the animation here. As you can see, the various sound waves, that means compressions and rarefactions, they are reaching in the auditory canal, right, which is the cavity, and when it reaches the end of the auditory canal in the eardrum, right, now we will see what is exactly present behind bones, right. So we'll next is what? Yes, next is what? The inner ear. Now the auditory nerve connects the inner ear to the brain. The inner ear has a structure resembling the shell of a snail. Now, if you look at this diagram here, right, just behind the eardrum, there are a set of 3 bones and which are connected to this spiral structure just like a snail. That is called as a cochlea. Okay, that cochlea, inner ear, right, is connected to the brain through something called an auditory nerve. The inner ear has a structure resembling the shell of a snail and it is called the cochlea. The cochlea receives the vibration coming from the membrane and converts them into electrical signals which are sent to the brain through the auditory nerve, and the brain then analyzes these signals. So that means what? So when these sound waves enter into the auditory canal and reach the eardrum starts vibrating according to the frequency of the sound. That vibration is then transferred to a set of 3 bones just behind the eardrum, and those 3 bones then transfer that vibration onto the cochlea, which is the spiral structure, right? Then that cochlea generates an electrical signal which is sent to the brain through the auditory nerve. Okay, so these are the questions that students are supposed to do, right? So the first question is, what is sonar? So sonar is sound navigation and ranging, right? Then you have to state the applications of sonar. So the applications of sonar are used to determine the depth of the oceans, to determine the position of sunken ships, to determine the speed and distance of underwater moving objects like a submarine, and to find out the position of different fishes for fishermen. Okay. Then next is, how is sonography technology useful in medical diagnosis? Then you have to draw a neat level diagram of the human ear and explain the working of the human ear. So the diagram that you need to prepare is this one, which is the figure number 12.6 in your textbook, right? Which is the structure of the human ear. So now let us once again revise and briefly go through whatever content that we have studied today. Okay, so sonar, which is a short form for sound navigation and ranging. Okay, it is a very interesting device which is fitted on all ships. Okay, it is used to determine the direction, distance, and speed of an underwater object with the help of ultrasonic sound waves. So with the help of sonar, you can find out the position of any underwater object like a submarine, or maybe fish, or maybe any sunken ship also, right? Then sonar has a transmitter and a receiver which are fitted on ships or boats on the underside. Okay, the transmitter produces and transmits ultrasonic sound waves, right? Because they are ultrasonic, we humans cannot hear them. Okay, these sound waves travel through the water, strike underwater objects, and get reflected by them. Okay, so it is also a form of, it is also a case of concept of reflection of sound waves, right? So here we are making use of the phenomena of reflection of sound waves, right, to visualize underwater objects. The reflected waves are received by the receiver on the ship. Okay, the receiver converts the ultrasonic sound into electrical signals, and these signals are properly interpreted by a computer and are shown on a display. Okay, the time difference between transmission and reception is noted. That means as soon as the signal is sent by the transmitter, the time measurement is started, right? And when it comes back, right, the time interval is noted down. That means the time interval between the transmission and reception means the total time taken for that ultrasonic sound wave to get reflected and come back is noted down. Okay, then depending upon the speed of the sound in water and the time required for that wave to get reflected and come back, is measured and used to calculate the distance of the object from which the sound must have reflected. Okay, so the time difference between transmission and reception is noted. This time and the velocity of sound in water give the distance from the ship of the object which reflects the sound waves, right? Sonar is used to determine the depth of sea and to search underwater hills, valleys, submarines, icebergs, and also the location of sunken ships. Okay, then the next we study today is sonography. Sonography technology uses ultrasonic sound waves to generate images of internal organs of the human body. This is useful in finding out the cause of swelling, infections, pain, etc. in the human body. The condition of the heart, the state of the heart after a heart attack, right? The technique involving study of heart using sonography is called as echocardiography. Okay, cardiography means study relating to the hearts. Okay, then the state of the heart after the heart attack, as well as growth of the fetus inside the womb of a pregnant woman, right, are also studied using sonography. So pregnant women, pregnant ladies, they are subjected or they are asked to go for a sonography every 1 or 2 months so that the growth of the fetus can be monitored, right? So that the doctors are able to determine if the fetus, if the baby inside the pregnant woman is growing properly or not. Okay, then this technique makes use of a probe and a gel. As you can see, the image in the center is the image of the probe, right? Okay, which is just moved on the skin. Okay, then on the left hand side, you can see the image of the complete machine, right, which is a kind of a computer, right? And that probe is attached to the computer. And on the right hand side, you can see the kind of image that is generated on the screen. Okay, so the technician, the sonography technician, by observing that image, right, will determine the medical condition of the patient. Okay, now the gel is used to make proper contact between the skin and the probe so that the full capacity of the ultrasound can be utilized. So the gel is used so that the ultrasonic sound waves coming from the probe are transferred through the skin into the body. Okay, and also the reflected waves from the organs, so they can come out and transfer into the receiver of the probe. So the gel which is present will help to transfer the sound waves between the skin and the probe. Okay, then the gel is applied to the skin outside the internal organs to be studied. High frequency ultrasound is transmitted inside the body with the help of the probe. The sound reflected from the internal organ is again collected by the probe and fed to a computer, which generates the image of the internal organ, right? So the technician, the sonography technician, right, is well experienced and trained, right, so that he can identify the medical problems by observing those images. Okay, as this method is painless, it is increasingly used for medical practice for correct diagnosis. As I told you, it is a non-invasive method, means there are no cuts made on the skin. There is no requirement of an operation. There is no requirement for a patient to get admitted. There is no requirement of any medicines, right? And this procedure is completed within 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. Then next is what? The study of the human ear. So the ear is an important organ of the human body. We hear sounds because of our ear. When sound waves fall on the eardrum, it vibrates, and these vibrations are converted into electrical signals which travel to the brain through the nerves. So as you can see in this image here, the human ear is divided into 3 main parts, that is the outer ear, the middle ear, and the inner ear, right? So as you can see here, the human ear is divided into 3 parts, that is outer, middle, and inner. Okay, so as you can see the different parts of the human ear, the outer ear on the left hand side, then the auditory canal through which the sound waves go inside, right? And then you have the eardrum on the end of the auditory canal. Okay, just behind the auditory canal, you have a chain of 3 bones, right? And then semicircular canals, right? So these 3 bones just behind the eardrum, they transfer those vibrations from sound waves to the inner structure, which is the cochlea. Okay, here the cochlea converts those vibrations into electrical signals and send them to the brain through nerves, right? And the nerves going from the ear to the brain are called as auditory nerves. Okay. Now let us see the individual parts of the human ear, right? First of all, we'll see the outer ear. The outer ear collects the sound waves and passes them through a tube to a cavity in the middle ear. So the function of the outer ear means the parts that are visible outside. Okay, the skin-like structure. Okay, it is just there so that it can collect the sound waves coming from different directions and feed them in the ear canal. Okay, it is a peculiar funnel-like shape and helps to collect and pass sounds into the middle ear. Right now, let us talk about the middle ear. Now, there is a thin membrane in the cavity of the middle ear called the eardrum. Okay, when a compression in the sound wave reaches the eardrum, the pressure outside it increases and it gets pushed inwards. The opposite happens when a rarefaction reaches there. Now, as you are aware, sound waves are present or travel in the form of alternate bands of compressions and rarefactions, right? Compressions are regions of high pressure and rarefactions are regions of low pressure. So when a high pressure region reaches the eardrum, it pushes the eardrum inside. Okay. And then just after the compression, we have a rarefaction because they are alternate. So when a rarefaction comes, it is a region of low pressure. So then it pulls the eardrum outside, right? So when a rarefaction reaches, the pressure outside decreases and the membrane gets pulled outwards. Thus, the sound waves cause vibrations of the membrane, which is the eardrum. That means the eardrum also starts vibrating at the same frequency of the sound which is reaching the eardrum. Okay. Then as you can see, the external auditory canal helps to transfer the sound waves onto the eardrum. Then just behind the eardrum, there are the set of these three bones, very tiny bones, which will transfer that vibrations onto the inner ear, right? On that part, there is a cochlea, which is the spiral structure, as you can see here in the diagram, right? And that cochlea converts those vibrations into electrical signals, right? Let us see about inner ear. So the auditory nerve connects the inner ear to the brain through the auditory nerve. This inner ear has a structure resembling the shell of a snail, and it is called as a cochlea. Okay, the cochlea receives the vibrations coming from the membrane and converts them into electrical signals, which are then sent to the brain through the auditory nerve. And then the brain analyzes these signals and we get the perception or the sensation of hearing, right? So I will expect students to write down these questions in their notebook and please read the textbook as usual and make sure you are preparing the different diagrams, right? Now the diagrams that are probable to be asked, मतलब कौन से diagrams पूछे जा सकते हैं आपको? एक तो है ये वाला diagram, that is 12.6. This diagram is important, so you can write and practice or draw the diagram and practice in your notebook. You are also expected to draw the diagram of sonar, which is this one in the textbook, right? So the diagram for sonar is also expected when you are writing the answer for sonar, right? So now let us now. Yes, come on, students, raise your hands. If you have any questions, if you have doubts, come on. Please raise your hands. You can ask the question. Students, yes. Mayur sir, can you hear me? Hello. Hello, sir. Yes, students, you can raise your hands. Come on. Hello. Mayur sir. Yes, Suhani Jaiswal, beta bolo. Yes, पूछो बेटा बोलो. सुहानी. बेटा unmute and ask. Yes.
Sir, what is the value of lambda?
Beta, lambda is the wavelength. It can have different values depending upon the frequency and the type of the sound wave. Right? So you are not expected to prepare any values. आपको कोई number value याद नहीं करना है. It can be different for different sound waves. Okay? It is just the symbol here in this chapter. That symbol lambda is for the wavelength. That is the distance between alternative compressions or alternative rarefactions. Okay, so depending upon the frequency, say for example, if you have a wave which is say in the low frequency region, so waves having a lower frequency have a higher wavelength, whereas waves having a higher frequency will have a lower wavelength. Okay. Okay. Anyone else asking a question, students? Yes, Mayur sir. Hello.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Yes, I don't